Hello, people. This week I'm a bit late. Now it's not gonna be. We're still gonna hit the same day, right? It's the appropriate day. It's just gonna be later in the day for reasons. Nothing serious. It's just how it ended up happening. So that's for anyone interested. For everyone else in the future, I guess it doesn't matter when this comes out, right? Right. In any case, this week we read The Witcher. Now, I've never seen The Witcher show. I never read the book. I have no I didn't play the video game. No pre-existing knowledge of the property other than sort of your general absorption from trailers and popular culture, right? Because it was a famous TV show with your boy Henry Cavill in it, right? So I have a general idea, right? I'm not going in thinking it's like World War II time era, right? I know it's swords, I know it's magic, I know this sort of thing. But some books are hyped up and they're up your alley. I like fantasy books anyway, so I'm like, let me just buy it. I don't do it often, but I bought it sight unseen, right? You just a cursory look and you give it a go. Sort of jump in. So what did I rate this book before we get too far in? This one's actually very weird. As like a story, as like a book, it's incomplete, right? And not in a some are like you know the world goes on, but you're satisfied with what you have, right? It's not in that sort of sense. It actually feels like if you know how you have some books and it's one book, but inside it says book one, book two, book three. It feels like a book one of three in one book, though, right? That's what it feels like. So it feels very nothing was resolved. There's no kind of your general book ending. Now, again, there are no rules. You don't have to end your book a kind of way, but if you stop a song in the middle of a song, it feels abrupt, right? This is the feel that I have with this book. So as a book, I want to give it a 2, right? There's a lot of problems. But then, like, its story, what it's made of, is very good. It's like a 4. It's like a 5 almost. How did this happen? What's going on? I know, you're asking the same thing. I was asking as I was reading it. Okay. So, the big root problem I have with this book is like editorially. Huh? What are you talking about? I love the characters. I love the characters. I actually like the writing, right? I like the setup. I like the world building. I like the magic. I like the polish. I like everything about this book. It's just chopped and served in a way it's just odd. And then it just ends. Right? So those are two things. So, how do I say this? We will, right? Geralt. That's our main. He's the Witcher. He's our main guy. We'll have. They'll show me like him, right? Let's say. Here's just an example. He ends up on a particular mission. He's on a boat, some kind of fishing vessel that's delivering stuff with other people, right? And on this boat, we have great dialogue. I mean, it's very lively. A side note, a weird thing, not weird, an interesting choice that's made that changes it from a lot of other fantasies, I feel like, is the scientific language. This author chooses to use, in sort of a medieval fantasy setting, a lot of scientific verbiage. Medically speaking, when we're talking about different types of beasts, he'll give it a literal, like, medical jargon slant to it. It adds a weird, a great realism base, right? That just lifts everything you're dealing with. Because in our ears, we're used to medical jargon and, like, professors speaking a certain way as real Latin words, this kind of thing. It comes with a sense of realism. And so when you add that to a fantasy world, which people don't normally do, no, they normally don't. It's refreshing. It's new. We can get into adult, literally, like, deep politics, adult politic, boring kind of subjects that's still interesting, and all dealing with fantastical, non-existent races, right? So that's a good, again, every bit of this book is good, except the editing. So he's on this boat, and we start this great dialogue between all the people involved. I'm a witcher, I'm a professor, there's this, like, a rich kid and a rich lady, just passengers, and they're trying to sort of talk about what's going on, what's happening. Some people are getting stolen, missing, maybe it's a monster, right? This great back and forth starts to happen in this, right? So in that sense, it's a break from what we had been dealing with. And it starts to feel, what do we know? Like a you know how Sherlock Holmes does, where it's just a series, anthology. That's it. Anthology style. That's what I thought we were going to do for a second early in the book. Where it's just each set story. And that the reader is aware that they're alive in between these stories. But you don't have to have every detail of what they've done, right? So I thought we were going to do that at this point in the story. We ended up not. So we just have him on this boat, which is a clean cut from what we had been doing, which is taking the girl, Cersei? Cicero? The little Witcher girl. Taking her somewhere safe. In the course of sitting on this boat, right, another boat comes up, and it looks like they want to take Geralt away. But the captain, these other people, don't want to allow it. They're friends with Geralt. And he keeps trying to tell them, don't get involved, right? And at first, you think he's just trying to keep them safe. But then you get the sense, I'm like, my boy's got a plan. Geralt is competent, deadly, he can handle himself. He has some kind of a plan. And then, of course, by the end, he needs one of them alive. None of them end up alive. His plan is messed up. We then cut to some other situation where some spies are talking. Actual spies. It's very cool. And for a while, because he'll do this, he'll just land you in a spot. You're disorientated a little. You don't know what's happening as a reader. Then you start to, I'm like, all right, I'm buying what you're selling. Then you realize we're talking about what Geralt was doing. He was trying to get information, blah, 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 right? But it hit me. I'm like, this, right? Sometimes you get in a story and there are, let's say, less interesting bits, but that you digest them because they lead towards the more interesting bits. As I'm sitting there, I was reading it, right? And I'm like, this is the less interesting bit because obviously the action's more interesting, right? Geralt is more interesting. Now, if this had come before that, right, it had just sort of moved along and I'd understand what's happening before he got on the boat. In any case, the struggle I went through on the boat of orientating myself as a reader, I'd already gone through the purpose of this one, in a sense, right? I don't need the backstory after I have the action because I don't care because I know sort of in a sense where this leads, and it's not like this backstory built to a new understanding. I clearly got what he was doing on the boat, right? And now I'm clearly getting an explanation. You see what I mean? This is what he does in the book constantly. It's very disjointed like that. Now, I know some books like to play with how you maneuver through things, but it has to have some kind of purpose. And most of the time, it's, you use it to sell whatever action you're going to be in. But the writing's good and you like the characters. So you go, you know what? I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to go with this for a bit because I like Geralt. Then we move and we're like, oh, we got good momentum here. Then we just stop and we get chucked somewhere else. And then it takes another reorientation. And then we're like, oh, we're behind where I was already swiftly moving happily. Right? It's very strange. And it does it consistently through the book. I will get build up, right, to him and this girl, this Ciri. I think that's her name. I'm going to go with it. The little Witcher girl. We get a great, where it's them and an enchantress moving through the countryside. Then we leave her, go away from it completely. I'm like, you get me into the rhythm of these two characters. They're hanging out with dwarves. They're fighting, these elves that have an issue. It's very complicated. These elves have an issue with humans. It was a long old war. We talk about other old wars. I'm getting a rhythm. I understand this girl's 13. She has some ability, but she's young. There's danger. And then we just stop and cut and go somewhere else. And then after a few of those beats, we cut way back to the girl. Hanging out with Yennefer and getting all this training. And you're like, whoa. I already got to more interesting bits. There's this danger and Geralt's trying to stop this evil wizard from getting to the girl. I'm already, right? So it's, like you give me the action scene and you get me pumped. And then you cut away to like a library scene and we're looking for a book, right? The energy's off. My expectations now off. I'm now drawn to more exciting events. Now I have to struggle to reorientate myself. Now once I'm orientated and I'm happy with this, right? It's a constant hum of this. That's the big problem with the book. I like it. You could re-edit it. You really could re-edit it. Now, having said all that, I still liked it, right? That's the weird part. So the girl is hanging out with Yennefer, right? It's just world building on world building. So you got your Witchers, and they literally call them mutations that they give them to live longer, deal with wounds, be stronger, this kind of thing, because they just go around fighting monsters. It makes a point to say, I don't care about politics really. It's just one person needs help with a monster and I deal with them and I get paid. And I move on with my life. So we have these Witchers, and one of them, Geralt, finds a girl and takes her to the Carhean? I forget the name of this place. Their Witcher castle. She starts getting trained as a Witcher, right? And so this enchantress shows up, and you get this really sort of sweet moment of yes, you're training her, but she's also a girl. Her clothes were ill-fitting. Y'all don't know what y'all are doing. You need to give her more, right? So she's like reprimanding all these guys. And you can almost feel how bashful they are about it. Not that it's, like woke and women need to be superior, blah, blah, blah. Not in a woke sense, but in a, they care about the little girl. And if this lady has more expertise in girl stuff, then they're sorry that they didn't call her sooner. You feel that they care very quickly. And it's a lot of dialogue, but also unspoken dialogue. He uses a lot of, we sat stiffly, Geralt looked to the side, Geralt didn't want to, a lot of body communication to get some verbiage across. It's very good writing. Very sweet moments. You'll cut to her and Yennefer, straight magic training, right? The magic can heal wounds, like restore eyesight, this and that. It casts illusions. It can track people. It flows like your ley lines, right? There are spots where it comes out stronger or weaker. The girl has some kind of extra latent ability, prophetic in a way, where she might not be able to cast magic, but she's just super conduit for it, right? All the fun things you like. It is a fantasy. It's very, very fun. Just disjointed as all get out. And I like every bit of it. I like, what is it we have? Of course, your dwarves. Dwarves are just dwarves. They're always great. We have elves, but that they're obviously in some kind of issue with the humans. And the humans had to deal with the war with other humans. Nilfgaardians, I think they call them. I can't tell. I didn't get an introduction to if they're just other people or if they're some kind of mutant themselves, right? There's a lot of options. In any case, you understand that it's a danger. But add to this danger these elves. They call them like squirrels. I didn't like the name. And that's a side note. Right? So you get to deal with the issue of the elves before it's explained, and then you get the explanation, which you're all right with because it's Geralt talking. He said they live a long time. Right? It seems almost like they live forever compared to humans. But that only the young ones can have kids. Like, that's a cool twist. Right? So that back in their history, not ancient Rome history, right? Back in the history, when there was a war with the humans and they were losing their land, some of them wanted to leave and just ride out this new invasion of humans, and it's got to end at some point. And others wanted to fight. Well, the one who whipped them all into fighting whipped all the young ones into fighting. And when they lost horribly, they lost a lot of the ones who can, have kids, childbearing age, elves. And so now they are in a great diminished state. Not that they can't have any kids. It's just it's a severely diminished state. I mean, that's just a cool area to leave elves in. It's just very, very cool. We get into actual discussions of, sort of the moralities of war. Should this dwarf be fighting on the human side when the humans are against the other races? Yeah, and he gets in back and forth with this girl about why he's doing what he's doing. This kind of thing, right? These kind of deep, almost realistic but fantasy setting conversations all throughout. It's very fun. There were concerns with the Witcher's weird diet, their weird supplements interfering with this girl physically as she's hitting puberty and her development. That you wouldn't want to interfere with her development into a woman because she might be mad at you later on. At times the fighting be a little. He uses a lot of, what do we say, pirouettes. I don't know why, but he attached himself to this sort of word. And Geralt will fight and pirouette like 9 times in one fight. And it's not that the pirouette's wrong in a fight. It's just the word stuck out. You know, when you say it 7 times in a paragraph, it's an odd word and it comes across. So it's a minor issue. It doesn't ruin anything in the book. The fighting scenes are fun, can be vicious. There's nothing. It's adult, right? So Geralt will have love interests, but it's not. I don't remember anywhere where it's gratuitous, right? I'd say PG-13, right? The concepts come up, but we don't get into graphics. Again, it adds this adult depth to a fantasy story. I just wish it had been edited better. You know, obviously she's going to be some kind of child of destiny, right? But there's no, it's other than the great world building. I don't feel this great sense of a moving story. I feel like I am in these people's lives. I care about their lives. I just wish it had been presented better. But what can you do? I think I got book 2 already. I don't know how many more I'm going to get if it keeps going like this. It's very, very weird. Again, all the pieces are good. It's just sorted oddly. All right. It's not too terribly long. The Witcher. I didn't go into super detail because obviously I'm late and I still have to edit this. No, I think that's about how long I'd go, even if I wasn't late. Yeah, that was my main crux with it. Tons of fun, odd editing. All right, people. Ad time? My books are edited perfectly because they were edited by me. I'm sure this guy says the same thing, right? Well, I mean, you know, if you're happy with what you did, you know, don't let other people bug you, right? In any case, my stories aren't disjointed. Go give them a read. Buy them. You'll help the channel. Or subscribe, you'll help the channel. Or just watch if you're having fun. It's all the same. It's all good to me. Okay, people. I gotta go edit this. I will see you all next week.